Okay, now going on to key concepts. These are some of the concepts which we'll cover next. One is to introduce waste and types of waste, which is very, very important and a very core concept in lean. And then we'll go on to the classic concept of value stream, etc. Now, coming on to this issue of waste and identifying waste and eliminating it. As mentioned earlier, this is not a concept that is explicitly identified by Womack and Jones in their 5 lean concepts, but it is embedded in it. And the reason I want to give it specific emphasis is because in a lot of projects we have seen that when people understand the level of waste there is on a project, it really opens their eyes to requirements to eliminate it, and then their lean journey begins. Now, by waste, it is not the material waste that we normally see, concrete or rebar or bricks, but it is the waste that is hidden in the processes which we are paying for and which actually decreases our profitability. Now, again, this concept of waste started with the Toyota production system, and the terms you see here, Mura, Muri, Muda, are Japanese terms with different high-level types of waste. And these wastes, as you can see, are inconsistency or unevenness, unreasonableness, impossible or overdoing, and activities that do not add any value. Now, all of these are important, and you can see in inconsistency or unevenness that, as you can see in the example there, there is an unevenness in the way the trucks are loaded. Now, as we are also aware, similarly our processes are also sometimes uneven or inconsistent, and this causes other kinds of waste. Now, because of this unevenness, there could be overdoing or overloading, which causes mooring, and this can result in muda. So, there is a relationship between these wastes, and what we typically focus is on this muda, which is the 8 wastes. But do remember that mura and muri are also important, but a lot of times to start with we will focus on muda. When we take muda or the 8 wastes, this is our classic 8 wastes in 7 which became 8 in any process or any organization, and we have an acronym which says TIME, time, DOWN, time down. This is the acronym that's used, okay, to describe these wastes or to be able to refer to these wastes, TIME. Okay, and if we we'll take a bit of time to go through each one because this is very important as a base. So, we can see there is a transportation waste. So, if material is located far away from point of installation, there is a lot of time the worker is spending going up and down, it could be transportation waste. Inventory and inventory waste, if I stockpile too much material much before it is needed, it is an inventory waste. So, here you can see an example of whether it is bricks that are stockpiled or cement or any material that is too much of it, it is a waste. Even a half finished product, let me say it is an apartment building where I have several apartments that are partially finished. That is also my inventory of apartments, it is partially finished, it is not sold to the customer, it is also waste. I could have motion waste where it could be a rebar yard and people are doing a lot of motion unnecessarily, and it increases the time it takes to be able to do the rebar activity, that is also waste. Excess processing, either finishing a foundation wall which is going to be backfilled or covered, or doing high tolerances where the tolerances are not required, is excess processing. Defects or rework, we are familiar with it. When there is deficient or something that does not meet requirements, we need to rework on it, that is defect, that is also typically a waste. Overproduction, when we produce something in excess and it has to be stored, that results in inventory, another type of waste. Waiting, we see a lot of this on our site, people waiting for materials, tools or instructions, basically the worker being idle because something is not there, definitely more waste. And the 8th waste is non-utilization of human resources, whether they are taking people who can't do work and can't do that level of work and assigning it to them, or getting capable people and not giving them enough of the kind of work they can do. So, these 8 type of ways become very important, and if there is any specific takeaway from trying to implement lean construction is to try to identify these type of wastes on a site and to try to eliminate it. Now, lot of the tools which we learn try to focus on this in some way, either directly or indirectly, and this tends to be a critical requirement. Now, we can look at this from another perspective, and basically this shows different types of waste, again with the acronym time down. The critical question I would like you all to think about this is, here we have a graphic where we can see that inventory is shown as the level of water, and you can see the barge floating above this, and these rocks are the different kinds of wastes that are there. The question you have to think is, what happens, should I lower the inventory and face these wastes and or should I keep the inventory level high? This is something to think about and something we should be able to discuss in the chat, because ultimately the way waste manifests itself and the way we can identify waste and the way we can eliminate waste becomes a very, very important way in which we can bring efficiency into our projects. Now, we can take the 8 forms of waste and we can look at it in 2 types. We call it non-value added but necessary, that is type 1 MUDA. Here what we talk about is that something that is you need to do it to be able to do value added work. Okay, so it's non-value added in essence but necessary. And the type 2 MUDA is non-value added, that is just non-value added. So if a worker is idle, definitely non-value added. If a worker is actually transporting brick, it's probably value added, but if the transportation, but it's not necessary because it actually contributes to value added work, which is the placing the brick on the wall. Okay, so these 2 also become very important. These are a generalization of the 8 types of waste, and sometimes we will look at type 1 and type 2 waste to simplify it, to look at where is value not being added, and to be able to classify the non-value added into the 2 categories. And as discussed earlier, Mura and Muri are the root causes of MUDA, and there should be a focus on variability as well as overburden, but these are a topic of another session. Now, when we look at implementing lean, to put it very simply, it is to find waste, eliminate it. And how do you identify waste? We can look at different types of lean tools which can be used to identify waste and be able to then discuss, collaborate and eliminate the same. So if you put it in a very, very simple form, this is the kind of approach we would like to take at a very basic level.